is rapidly going by. I like it. Let's go. I feel good. I got the Warchant report today after the show. Going to sit down with the fellas. Got the golf show tonight with Trey Jones. A little PGA Tour action. Tomorrow's Thursday, Redemption Thursday, off a good week. Before we know it, we talking pregame Florida State, Miami, and the beatdown will be on. Canes reeling. Chance to take advantage, step on some necks, dominate a rival, beat them for 2 years in a row, and put yourself in a position to win over even more recruits and get this thing moving towards 9 wins. I am ready.
You know, we distributed a video yesterday on the channel on Warchant TV in which we replayed your thoughts from Monday in the Monday Open, in which you're saying they're asking for a beat. Miami's asking for it.
I think I said that. I think I said they may be asking for an ass kicking.
You did. Exactly verbatim.
Yeah, I think I did.
So the question was, are you going to be up to the task in situations in order to deliver it? Well, I have to tell you. Me
personally, I am up for that situation.
I know you are. Are you buttoned up and
I'm buttoned up and ready to go.
Locked down, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Locked in.
Yeah. If you're focused.
Today, I'm doing the project for the website, Warchant, and, you know, the Third and Lang feature on this particular game.
It's a great feature.
And my God, what I saw today out of Miami's defense, I did not expect to see because numerically, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think they're not awful, but they're vulnerable in a way I did not really expect to see. But once I looked closely at the North Carolina game, closely at the Middle Tennessee game of all games too, interesting stuff.
So, Tom, now, listen, you do so much for this website of ours, warchant.com. You work tirelessly, and so I can't expect you to get down in the weeds at all times for every opponent until the week of the game. But because I care so much about the Florida State-Miami rivalry, oftentimes weeks in advance, I do scouting. And so it is that I said to you weeks ago that I thought, Miami's got some problems. They got some trouble.
Oh, well, on its face.
But I'm not talking about scores. I was talking about, I watched that Southern Miss game. I've watched some of the other games, and I thought to myself, Tom, they don't have receivers. They're green. Their fondness for the drops. The new offense is not meshing like it did a year ago. You've got a quarterback who's looking around a little confused, a little frustrated. The offensive line has real holes. They don't trust the secondary, and why should they? Their linebackers are weak. Good defensive line. I'll give them that. But that's it. That's all, baby. They don't have much going for them.
Yeah, I didn't want to focus too much on the offense because who the hell is going to play quarterback? And that makes a huge difference.
Yeah,
but do you want to spend a whole lot of time on Van Dyke if he's not going to be available and Cristobal is engaging in gamesmanship this week? So let's focus on the defense and see what they could do to stop and slow down the attack from FSU. Well, short of situational mistakes, I think we're going to be in a position once again this week to score into the mid or upper 30s at minimum. But you got to cash in on those chances because if you do, this could get fun.
Yeah, it gets exciting. It does. It really gets exciting. I hope they do. I know rivalry games, anything can happen. You know, we know that. I'm well aware that sometimes things don't go according to script. It is a game still played by human beings. It is a situation where kids make mistakes.
It's college.
And, you know, we've said for years, kind of a saying on the show, a little bit of kids are subject to the whims of emotion. I use that phrase probably too much, but it's true. And it's one thing I've really learned over the years, both in having kids myself, but also watching and covering them. You know, you just never know what's going to send somebody down the wrong path and they lose confidence and things like that. And so you get worried about it. But you especially get worried about it when it's Florida State Miami week, because when you think you've got the better team, and Florida State is the better team here. So when you have the better side, you have more to lose. You have more to lose in that you recognize that they need a little of your help for this to be an upset that can happen. And we've been a team that likes to give.
We're very generous at times.
We are generous. Yeah. We're generous in the red zone. We're generous in the way that we don't always execute in situations. And so you just worry that if that were to rear its ugly head again, you know, obviously you have yourself a game, and nobody wants that. This should be a rocking chair day. Now, I do know this. I'm looking here on the screen, and I can see him in the green room. There he is. He's the man. He's the legend. And it is always around this time of year, right, when we get started with basketball, that I get a chance to talk to Leonard Hamilton, and it looks like I'm going to be able to do that right now. Tommy, if you'll bring him in from the green room, I'll be able to see my guy. There he is. There he is. Hello, Coach Hamilton. How are you?
Hello, fellas.
You're looking good, buddy. Looking good. How you feeling?
Well, you know, you have to fake it till you make it.
Well, the last time I saw you, I was coming out to watch my son play at your basketball camp, and you still had the cane, but I was at the exhibition game the other night. You don't have it. You look good. You're walking around fine.
Well, I had total hip replacement surgery in May the 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably about 80% back. I used to wonder, Jeff, when I'd see people as they get up in age, they had a little hitch in their walk. and I used to always wonder, boy, I hope I don't. That's what I got now. I got a little hitch in my walk. So give me a couple more months. It takes about a year to overcome those types of surgeries. So I'm hitching right now, but I'm going to get straightened out. I'll be back in racehorse pretty soon, okay?
Yeah, hitching the giddy up, but you look good. Hey, while I'm on this note, I know you and I are going to talk about the team and all that, but I do want to say congratulations, first of all, on receiving the Joe Lapchick Character Award. I don't overlook that. I think that's important. For those that don't know, Coach, let me brag on you for a second. That foundation, and it does a lot of things, but it recognizes basketball coaches, figures of all kind from all levels of men's and women's basketball who have demonstrated, in short, honorable character throughout the years and mentorship and leadership and obviously all the things that we associate those with high levels of character. And I can't think of a better recipient than you, sir. So congratulations on that.
Well, it means an awful lot to me for my name to even be associated with the Lapchick family because they've done so much individually for basketball and for people in general. They've been fighting wars that for people who are disadvantaged for many, many years. And people might not know this, but Mr. Lapchick brought Sweetwater Clifton into the NBA, the first African-American player to ever play. And obviously during that time, back in the late 60s or whenever it was, that wasn't a very popular thing to do. But from a character standpoint, that's what he thought was best. And what you see now is opportunities for people from all over the world participating in the NBA. So I can't think of anybody who I'd rather be associated with than the Lapchick family.
Coach, when you got that call, can you take me through that real quick? I know you don't like to brag on yourself, but that had to be a great moment. So you get that call, you get the heads up that you're going to be a recipient to that award, and you understand the history, you understand who they are, what they represent. Take us through that day. That had to be
it was a very humbling moment for me because I actually am a recipient of I benefited from all Mr. Lapchick's work. He had this scorecard that he kept on baseball, football, basketball, and he sent that grade report out every year. And if people were not making progress in those areas, he called them out. And he did it in a classy way where he's never been a controversial figure. He explained to people that diversity is okay. And so I take my hat off to him because that's a tremendous amount of courage on his part. And then with his son, Richard, can you think of the conversation they had at the dinner table? Because Richard has now taken his father's legacy and taken it to another level. So I'm very humbled to be associated with such a high character family.
Very cool. And I'm glad you received that award. Let's move forward with this, Coach. I'll get it out of the way right now. I'm sure it's a sore subject. For those that listen on this show on a regular basis, they already know my thoughts on this. I need your thoughts on this. I'm, of course, speaking about the NCAA's ruling involving Bob Miller, who's lost an NCAA appeal. He received travel assistance between his home in Spain and the United States for a training camp. Florida State was not involved in that. He loses 50% of his freshman season. His family repaid the money. This seems completely out of touch, in my opinion. I don't know what you can say and what you can't say. Your thoughts on that ruling from the NCAA involving Bob Miller?
Well, the first thing I would say, I have a tremendous amount of respect for the job that the NCAA has done over the years. They have a very difficult challenge of dealing with all the different sports internationally and domestically. And it's been they've done as good a job as you can to keeping things, on an even basis. But I do have some concerns I'm disappointed about this because I can't find any source of information that lets me know that they have had an extensive educational program to educate people internationally as to what the do's and don'ts are. So we're holding this young man accountable for what his family does not know. There was no NCAA book for them to look at. They didn't even know anyone who has an NCAA book. So when I think about all the international kids that have come to America to play sports, and they all operate under a different system without the guidance of somebody somewhere, or the NCAA making an attempt to deal with all the sports organizations abroad to make sure that they understand what they can and cannot do, it's hard for me to accept that they're holding a youngster accountable for what they have not been exposed to. And that bothers me a little bit, because I would think if you're going to hold a youngster accountable in his family when they're trying to do what's right and they make a mistake, that you got to have, but you have not had an attempt that doesn't seem to be a real extended attempt of how you educate people so they don't make mistakes. And when you look at the NBA Academy that the NCAA supported, which I'm in agreement, I support it too, and I believe that somebody, I don't know who it was, provide transportation for the families and for those kids to go to those camps. Now, so in my opinion, if the landscape has moved to the point where you're allowing that to happen, now you're allowing all different things to happen now because of the NIL and other things. The landscape has changed. So it's confusing to me as to why we don't take that under consideration in a case like this. I do think that that because of the different landscape, that what we're allowing people to do now is not the way it used to be. And I think our set of rules need to be brought up to date to match internationally what we're doing domestically. And things that we're allowing to do domestically now, legal, is at a whole nother level that I'm sure you would agree to. So I'm disappointed in that fact that they've been held accountable for what they didn't know, as I see it.
Last thing on that, is that the final thing that we're going to hear about this, Coach? I appreciate you sharing your thoughts on that. I know it's a frustrating subject matter, but I know how delicate you have to be as well. Florida State fans have asked me, will there be any further follow-up? I don't know the answer to that question. Are we stuck with 16 games? Is there any other avenue by which to appeal this, or has that been exhausted?
I believe it's been exhausted. We're still searching for some cracks somewhere that maybe we could benefit from. But at this particular point, it's the hand that's been dealt to us, and I'm not real sure we have a lot of recourse.
All right, so let's talk about what you do have. You'll get Baba back for the second half of the season. I got to watch him play. Thank goodness I came to the exhibition game. I know what he's about. It was good to see him. We'll talk about him later. We know why we're excited to have him on the roster when he does get to play. Talk about the transition from last year's team to this year's team. I know whenever you and I get together to do the overview, I kind of give you carte blanche because you know your team. You've been practicing with your team. I can name names, and I know who's on the team from a year ago and who left from a year ago, but I want to hear you describe what you think this team is. Usually early in the year, they are indeed a work in progress. So start wherever you'd like, Coach. Either talk about the newcomers or what you expect from this group early on.
This is a different kind of team than what we've had in the past. I've always had a set of veterans returning that kind of set the table for the culture that we've tried to establish here over the years. Now, we're in a situation now where my most experienced players are now second-year players in my program, which doesn't bode well to say that we're a very experienced team. We have guys who got some experience last year within our system, but they're second-year players, and sometimes it takes a little longer to get into the groove of our system. Now, with Jalen Gainey going out with ACL early, that was a tremendous blow because he was my best post defender. He was my best shot blocker. He was in graduate school, transferred from Brown University, where he was Defensive Player of the Year 2 years in a row. Not 2 years in a row, but 2 years in the Ivy League, and he was academic all-conference. He brought an intellectual, savvy part to the game that would get made up for some of our lack of experience. Now we have Chandler Jackson, the incoming freshman, who broke his thumb. He hadn't practiced in about 6 weeks. And,
the news just keeps on coming, Coach.
and Cam Fletcher, at this point, can only play and not practice because of a bad back. So you throw Barber in that. So now you got 4 of your top 8 players being affected in your system, and we have 8 new players that are basically learning. So what the challenge for us is to come together and be able to maintain our same system, and hope that we can get through. Well, I think we will hold the fort down, but we're gonna be a little different. We'll be more of a 4-guard lineup without the size. Without the size, I had planned to rotate Cameron Cohen to the 4 and the 5, who gave it along with Barber, and then utilizing Cam Fletcher. There's 2.
Yeah.
But now we're gonna be more strictly a 4-guard offense. I'm not as concerned about our lack of size because we always from 6'5" to 6'7" in our perimeter positions. I think we'll be okay there. The challenge for us will be to be more efficient, maybe a little less shot blocking, but be more in terms of the little things: deflection, steals, blockouts, ball movement, good decisions. That's what we got to hang our hat on this year, as opposed to having the normal overall physical presence that sometimes can be imposing on teams. That when they play us. So what we're doing is working hard with an inexperienced team to become more efficient, more together, doing all the little fundamental things at a more efficient rate than maybe the inexperienced players should be. We got to overcome that with higher level of concentration, more focus, more togetherness, because we do have enough talent to be as successful as we need to be.
Yeah, and you get a healthy Naheem McLeod back. You bring in Darren Green Jr. Got to see him shooting the other night. He looks talented. Obviously, guys know about Caleb Mills from a year ago. I do want to ask you a little bit about the role, very briefly, that Matthew Cleveland has to play and his development. Really quickly, what do you expect out of him in this situation? And obviously, to get him where he wants to go, he's got to take on more responsibility, I would think.
Well, I'm not going to say he has to. I'm saying all of us have to.
Okay.
Everyone has to be a part of the load. Specifically with Matthew, I think he's improved his perimeter shooting tremendously. We all know that he's a junkyard dog persona, that he plays hard every possession. He has the ability in clutches in big games to go make plays. He's a guy who has a lot of those intangibles. Now that he's shooting the ball better, I expect you to see him be a lot more productive this year as a sophomore than he was as a freshman.
Coach, big picture here. It's you're playing a different way, and you're going to have to obviously find a way to keep your head above water for those 16 games. But I know I've watched you over the years find a way and navigate those waters, no matter how choppy they might be. Anything else you want the fans that'll be coming out to support this basketball team yet again? We know about the home court advantage that Florida State possesses. It's immense. The records and the numbers are there for themselves. We talk about them and brag about them all the time. But anything else you want fans to know as they get set to embrace basketball and start making their way back over to the Tuck?
I want our fans to know that we are so unbelievably appreciative of the support that they've given us over the years. And our record, I think when we lost 6 or 7 games at home in the last 4 or 5 years.
It's hard to even find the losses. It's been so few, infrequent.
So a lot of that has to do with the support that our fans have given us. I mean, in those moments where we need a little pickup, they're always there for us. Those moments when we need the visiting team to get rattled, they always step up to the plate and help us in those areas. I just want to encourage them to keep coming out, keep supporting us. We're going to give a full account of ourselves every time we show up. We might not win every game, but doggone, we're going to lay it on the line, and we're going to represent the Tallahassee community, Florida State, in the best way we know how.
Coach, I love talking to you. I wish you well. I'll see you real soon, and we'll talk again. But until that time, best of luck, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Yep, take care. That's Leonard Hamilton, head basketball coach, Florida State University. Love talking to Coach Ham every year around this time as the season gets ready to go underway. And he's been dealt a couple of tough blows here, as he just documented. We had to take a real quick break. That ran long, but we'll come back and kind of respond to what he had to say. Then we'll get into the football, obviously. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
If you're a business owner of any kind, you need advanced fire protection services. We are AFPS, and we provide high-quality life safety services throughout Northwest Florida, and we've been doing it since 1989. With offices now in Tallahassee, fire sprinklers, fire alarms, fire extinguishers, hood suppression systems, and emergency exit lights. For all of your life safety equipment, we've got you covered 24/7. We are Advanced Fire Protection Services. For a free life safety system evaluation, visit WeSaveLives.com. That's WeSaveLives.com.
Tallahassee's 30-year-old funny paper and American Legion Post 13 have joined forces to become Major Morale. The new magazine has 4 more pages of post activities and military information that you probably never knew. But don't worry, it's still as politically correct and newsworthy as always. Okay, it's the same funny stuff, but it's still only available at the sponsors' locations like Tallahassee Automobile Museum, Krispy Kreme Donuts, Keith Lawson Services, or ABC Flooring. Tallahassee's leading supplier of in-stock, top-of-the-line ceramic, carpet, waterproof, and hardwood floors since 1990. At ABC Flooring, you can pick out your floor, and installation can begin in 48 hours. ABC Flooring is also the leading supplier of in-stock landlord property management products in the Panhandle. Visit their warehouse showroom on Capitol Circle Southeast or call 877-6600.
Hi, this is Alex Stimley, candidate for Leon County School Board District 4. As a lifelong resident and a graduate of our school system, I look forward to the opportunity to serve our community. My goal is to bring 20 years of Leon County educator experience and my passion for student success to generate a renewed energy for the district and to provide a new voice for our classrooms. My name is Alex Stimley, and I have paid for and approved this message, and I'm asking for your vote for Leon County School Board District 4.
Right here in our hometown is a local spot where you can take a break from all your worries. A place where everybody knows his name is Smitty's Tap House and Grill. Smitty's deep appreciation for fine craft beers and tasty bar treats sets the stage as the ideal local neighborhood pub. Want to know more? Just visit Smitty'sTapHouse.com to check out the full menu. Come see us at Smitty's Tap House and Grill on Thomasville Road, just north of Cary Forest Parkway. You'll be glad you came, where everybody knows his name.
Hi, everybody. It's Ed Dean, Florida's #1 statewide radio talk show, now in Tallahassee afternoon drive from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on Real Talk 93.3 FM. Yes, highly entertaining, fast-paced, never boring. We always give you the story behind the story when you catch the Ed Dean radio show. And we are ready to go Tallahassee daily, 5 to 6 p.m. It's the Ed Dean radio show on Real Talk 93.3 FM WVFT.
The cooler temperatures are finally here. Thank goodness. Summer is now in our rearview mirror. With the cooler temperatures, we're going to need some place to warm up. Hearth and Patio can help you with that, whether it's a fireplace, a fire pit, or even warming up while you're grilling for your family. Hearth and Patio can help you with all of these. Give them a call today, 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282, or visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth and Patio, they keep the home fires burning, and they keep us warm.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Florida State's head men's basketball coach always, and appreciate him joining us here today. Yeah, looks like we're stuck on the Bobby Miller situation. That's what I take from that. My understanding from reading, talking with people, this is no secret. It looks like Florida State, looks like the NCAA feels like Florida State should feel thankful for the 16 games that Bobby Miller was suspended, that the original suspension was for the entirety of a season. Can you imagine that type of hubris, that over-the-top, tone-deaf response to an international player who's flown over to a camp, to a basketball camp? Florida State had nothing to do with that camp, by the way. Even if they did, there's no shame in that, but they didn't participate. Find out that because he's an international player and not from, say, Texas or Louisiana, that it then violates an NCAA rule, which is separate from that, from anybody who would have gone to that camp in the state or in the United States. And then upon learning that it's a violation, because they want to do things the right way, paid back the money for the flight. Said, oh, well, we're sorry, we didn't know that. And as Coach Hamilton pointed out, how could they know that? They didn't know that. And so they said, well, here, we'll give you the money back. It's not about the money. He just wanted to be in this camp. He wanted an opportunity to show his wares. So he participated, but here's the money. And then the NCAA goes, oh, yeah? Well, I'll tell you what, you're done for a year. Well, wait a minute. Kansas just won a national championship, and it's well documented what Kansas did to ensure they got certain players that helped them win a national championship. And this is inarguable. This is not an opinion. So much inarguable that Kansas just self-imposed penalties upon themselves announced today. Now, it's convenient to announce those penalties after you win, the national championship. And to say, we hope this clears the matter up. Sorry about that. Can you imagine that the NCAA thinks this is the tact in the era of NIL to take?
Well, and the investigation is stemmed from an incident in what year for Kansas? 2017. Boy, they found swift justice for a young man who is in his probably one and only year in college basketball, so now he gets half a season. They found a way to make this happen real fast for him, relatively speaking. I know that the incident happened some years ago, but they made sure that it was a penalty for the man before he leaves the NCAA. Not, a program that would see any one of those players gone by now from Kansas.
Right. There's no outstanding violation, no unfair advantage that had been provided to Bobby Miller or FSU. And this is the NCAA that we do know refused to give North Carolina, since we're passing out blame and example, so much as a slap on the wrist for 20-plus years of wholesale academic fraud.
It was because it was wholesale and not targeted sale. It was available to everybody. You just knew where to look.
And obviously, the Adidas scandal of which I speak with Kansas has been well documented to the point where you had, at one point, not the NCAA, but obviously higher law enforcement, like the FBI, investigating that scandal. But okay, by all means, Bob Miller gets 16 games, and you'll like it because we could have given you a year. He's not going to be able to talk about that, but it does look like we're stuck with it. And so I do appreciate him answering the question. As for the roster, that is a hell of a blow because Bob Miller is a difference maker. And I did go to the exhibition game and I saw his talents on display, and he was going to be a big part of what they did. He bought it in on the defensive end. He's long. He's athletic. He can stay in front of guys in the front court. And as much as we like to switch, that's important. He can shoot. Damn it, man. Is all I'll say about that.
Yeah, that the organization that levied this particular suspension, I'm not thinking it's ignorance anymore. I think it's malice. I think they choose their battles. It's like the person who lives on social media and comments on every page, leaves all the negative reviews on Google or wherever, and they write the 7 paragraphs. You're like, my God, how much time does this person have in their day?
Right.
That's the person who's empowered to levy punishments for the NCAA. It's Will Maxley person, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, and it's going to hurt this team. They also, unfortunately, have been bit by the injury bug a little bit here, too. So I think I'm just going to go back to something I said, and we'll move on because it's Florida State-Miami week and it's football and all that. This is a program of substance, Florida State basketball. It's a program that has been wildly successful over the last decade. Obviously, last year they were beset by injury, and unfortunately, to start this year, they are also going to be hit by injury, it would appear, coupled with that suspension. And so I think that the growing pains will be significant early on. I would caution against, throwing your palms to the sky and giving up early. I'm not telling you they're going to lose a ton of games. I am telling you that it's going to be a fight. They're not going to run away from people. They're going to have a lot of close games. We'll see how the ball bounces.
They got to play outside their system. Clearly, Coach just said that.
Yep. And listen, I know this. Now, Worley did not play in the exhibition game. From checking around, it would appear he will be back early in the season, should be able to go maybe even in their first real game. I'm not sure. It's not injury related, Tom. So over the years, we understand what that means when guys are just absent.
So the NCAA has ruled on him getting trick-or-treat candy when he was 9 years old, and they said that's impermissible.
So
you shouldn't attack. That baby Ruth is worth 3 games.
They need him to be back, though, all jokes aside, because he's the only one with any quickness. They're pretty slow in the backcourt right now, and that's problematic. They'll still have plenty of length because, again, I mentioned Naheem McLeod comes back, all 7'4", 260 of them. The length is there. He doesn't even have to be good. It's just that is obviously a rim protector at that point. You've got a guy that can alter shots. He mentioned they lost Jalen Gainey already, the big kid that came over from Brown, smart kid, but moreover, 6'10", 230, who blocks shots and rebounds. So he's out. You need Cameron Fletcher. That's your guy to take a big step forward this year.
The pressure was off Cameron.
Yeah.
But now 2 guys that could have relieved that pressure are not available.
No, Cameron's got to play well, but you guys are going to like Darren Green. He came over from UCF, and he can shoot. He's silky. You'll like him. He's not quick, but he's not slow. He's just not that. He's a guard who can really shoot. Matthew Cleveland was awful in the exhibition. Doesn't mean he'll be awful. We've seen him be real, real good, too. Coach Hamilton talks about his improved shooting. I think Matthew's probably going to have to play kind of an extended role, a different type of role. We'll see how he adheres to that. Some other guys that you'll see play quite a bit, at least judging by that early season game. There's a kid named Tom House that they brought in, who's a freshman from Ohio, 6'7", 200. He's kind of skinny. I mean, you'll see he needs to put on weight. He can shoot.
Sounds like that's been Indiana's football coach for the last 30 years.
That what, he's 6'7"?
No, Tom House. Just the name.
Yeah.
Well, that's Tom House.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, old Tom House will have a program rise up now.
Yeah. So this Tom, 6'7", can shoot it. He's primarily a shooter. Corrin, you're going to like. Cameron Corrin. Remember the name? Ham referenced him. He's 6'11", 6'10", big forward who's athletic, and I think they expect a lot of things from him. He's very young, though. He's also a freshman, so we'll see. I mean, the thing about the young guys is they have talent. The Chandler Jackson kid might give them some quickness in the backcourt. He did not play in the exhibition game, so they got to get him back. That's why I talk about slow starts, because you're trying to get these kids to work together, and a lot of them haven't been able to practice together, and a lot of them are brand new to the system, and so there's a learning curve.
We need to come up with an NCAA shirt that really encapsulates how we feel about the organization without crossing the line that a TV camera could actually pick it up and show it.
Right.
We could find whatever that middle ground is. Like, we need to create a lot of those shirts.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, they would probably sell well, and moreover, make a statement.
We don't have to ask Florida State to endorse these shirts, but maybe if they just leave the Civic Center door open one day, we could put one in every seat
out there.
Yeah.
So practice has gone well this week, it feels like, for Florida State football. This has the feel of, hey, look, not just a rivalry game, but a game that could be a statement game. I went on a show this morning that's aired in many cities throughout the state of Florida. And, Tom, I'll have you know that as I was exiting that show, they asked me a parting question about my thoughts. And I'll say boldly that I told them, Miami better hope that Van Dyke plays, because if he doesn't, they're going to get blown out. And I feel very, very good. I want to get your thoughts on this. I want to have that conversation with you. We'll do it next. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
Florida Highway Patrol says there was a crash between a semi and a car that happened around 10:30 Tuesday morning near the intersection of Blintstown Highway and Fort Braden Trail. Troopers say 2 people were injured, a child and an adult. The adult was taken to the hospital by medical helicopter. The child was transported by ambulance. The highway was closed in both directions for a time after the crash before westbound traffic started moving again and eastbound traffic was diverted onto a side road. Star Metro will once again offer free rides for voters on fixed route and dial-a-ride service this election day. According to a release from the city of Tallahassee, riders can use tools on their website to plan trips to and from the polls. Registered voters can cast a ballot from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on November 8th. A list of polling sites can be found at leonvotes.gov. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at maclemoresystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Frobley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Partly cloudy this afternoon with highs around 84. North winds around 5 miles per hour. Lows level off around 62 tonight. Mainly clear skies. Daytime highs approaching 83 tomorrow. Ample sunshine expected. Dry with temperatures a bit above average Friday and Saturday, and highs in the low 80s. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 78.
Let's take a minute to imagine all the things you can accomplish with help from Southeast Portable Buildings. Are you a hoarder? Hoard some more. Get a storage shed. Mother-in-law moving in with you? Put her in a shed out back. I'm kidding. Still working on that engine that you're going to finish from last summer? Move it out to a new workspace with Southeast Portable Buildings. From she sheds and man caves to repair shops and trophy rooms, the possibilities are only limited to your imagination. Visit Southeast Portable Buildings today.
Jeff, look at this beautiful day, man.
Yeah, it's getting a little chilly. I like it. You know, I'm a colder weather guy, but I worry about it for you because you can't wear the Speedo in the cold. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to wear a Speedo in the cold.
Jeff, it's always Speedo weather, man. We can always do this. Besides, my pool, it's heated.
Which means you're insufferable in a Speedo year-round?
Cannonball!
Still gross.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Hey, Matt.
Yes, Greg.
You know all the different ways that you can listen to Real Talk 93.3?
There are several.
So we've got realtalk93.com. You can go back and listen to all of our shows in the podcast section.
That's right. You can also listen on our app as well.
Search Real Talk 93.3 and look for the red microphone and download our app. Never go anywhere without us.
And of course, you can always listen right on the radio.
Well, they are listening.
Are they?
If they're hearing this commercial, then they're listening.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
like we always do. The podcast will be up there. YouTube feed is up there. All the ways, man. All of the ways by which to consume what it is we do here, and we appreciate you doing it. So I mentioned before the break, Florida State, I think it's primed to go play a good football game against a hated rival, and one that's is I think probably second guessing themselves right now. I think there's some uncertainty about where Miami is now. A couple things on that. We'll get into the actual play, but it reminds you a little bit of what it means to take over a program that has been scuffling. And we, unfortunately, have been through it. We've watched it happen, and we know the difficulties inherent to year one with anybody. Now, occasionally, and fans don't always like to accept this, situation by situation requires you to look and vet differently. You got to see, did the coach that got fired at the previous place do a good job of stockpiling talent but fail on the field? Did he do a lot of great things on the field, X's and O's wise, but couldn't recruit? Was it an NCAA violation? Was the administration trying to avoid problems in the future because there was a morality issue? There are all ways to look at why coaches get fired and others get hired and succeed or fail early. But no matter how you look at it, in year one, typically you have a coach fighting to install a new way of playing the game of football, thinking about the game of football, and certainly coaches, all of them, want to put their stamp, their vision, their worldview, for lack of a better sense, on the program so that they can establish something moving forward that is rooted in something that is real, that the players can buy into and later teach incoming players. That's called creating culture. Whenever you're doing that, you're going to have growing pains. There are going to be issues. They don't always manifest themselves in the way of losses on the field, especially if you have a lot of talent coming back. Sometimes they do manifest themselves in a bunch of losses because kids leave and you got issues and all that. What you're seeing with Miami is a combination of things, I think. The personnel ain't great, not good. They've suffered from injuries as well. And you have a coach trying to flip a culture, and not everybody's bought in. Not everybody's happy with it. These are the growing pains that come with trying to establish something new. Miami is in the midst of all of this, and it plays out on Saturdays in a way that makes me smile. It warms my heart to watch them stumble around in the darkness. Just a bunch of buffoons and a smattering of fans watching a once proud program suck some more. And Florida State has the chance to add to those woes, to go down there and kick sand in their face while they're down. And you need to do that. You need to do that while you can. Just like nobody's ever going to feel sorry for you when you're rebuilding, and nobody did for Mike Norvell and staff. Just like nobody's going to take it easy on you because they happen to be in a better position than you are while you're in the midst of transformation. You can't take it easy on them. Not in the world of recruiting, not in the world of trying to get a leg up and a very fertile ground for recruiting, not in the world of a rivalry. You've got to pace them. You've got to oblige them with the opportunity to hammer home another message that you're not good enough and you're far from it. They don't appear, save for a few small, segments here and there or moments, they do not appear to be in a place unless you aid them to win this football game. You're doing a piece, you're writing a piece about Miami's defense, and I think that what you've discovered in watching the film and what I've been watching this year together, it all adds up to the fact there's really no reason for Florida State to go lose this game. It could end up being a close game for any number of reasons, but it ought not be, really under any circumstances, a loss.
Yeah, oddly, it was very much film for the Middle Tennessee version of watching the games. They had a lightning issue, and so therefore it's essentially all 22 for the first quarter plus. And there's an apology graphic on the screen from ACC Network saying, sorry, we can't do our usual camera work. And it was the same crew who worked this weekend against Georgia Tech. And if anybody watched that game on television, they'll tell you, oh, please, could we get that alternate view, the lightning delay
better
view,
view.
The weather warning view.
The pseudo all 22s look nice.
And what's interesting, the only thing that concerns me about Florida State's offense going against Miami's defense, and I'm talking between the 20s, not the situational stuff, that's going to concern me the rest of the year until it's put to bed.
Until it's resolved.
If you look at Middle Tennessee as just one capsule and then North Carolina.
The 45-31 loss that Miami suffered at home to Middle Tennessee. That's the one you're talking about?
The one where they completed 3 passes over 65 yards, one of which
game.
was 98 yards for a touchdown.
Yeah.
There, you could almost choose which way you want to go. And sometimes I don't like that. I like when an opponent is deficient in one area, and so therefore the game plan is narrowed. I think you've got multiple ways that you could attack this. The game that I found more interesting and eyebrow-raising is the North Carolina game, because if you look at just the stat book, it says that Miami held North Carolina to under 4 yards a carry. Pretty good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you take away the sack-adjusted yards, it's close to 5 yards a carry. If you take away some of the garbage time / game management plays that North Carolina called, it's closer to 6.5 yards a carry. And why is that interesting? Because the way they got to 6.5 yards a carry, North Carolina against Miami, they ran counter. A very basic play, a route play in our playbook that we do better than North Carolina does, because that's not out of their base.
Right.
They saw it work at other weeks. They said, all right, let's run some of this stuff. And Rodney Hood, who's a pretty good running back, I don't think he's as good as some of our guys, went in between the tackles, bounced outside. He understood that Miami's linebackers aren't the greatest at the leverage and handling movement at the line of scrimmage. And that got me really excited, because I think this is a game where, even though Middle Tennessee racked up 400-plus yards in the air, bunch of explosive plays, I think this is a game that you can run down Miami's throat if they do what they did at North Carolina, which is interesting. Because even though North Carolina was gashing them on the ground often in this game, Miami left 6 men in the box until the fourth quarter.
They wouldn't come up.
Because they're so scared to death of miscommunications by their secondary that they want to leave 2 safeties deep. And that stems from getting killed by Middle Tennessee, where they've got basic communication errors and
guys are
dudes
just running free.
Scot-free down the field.
Yeah.
So
this is the brokenness of which I speak.
Right. It's not coordinated. The defense is not coordinated.
Imagine having that conversation again, because we had it here a year ago through 4 games in which I'd come on the air every day going, damn it, man, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. When you look at this, they are confused. The communication issues are astounding. They solved a lot of those. They're still not great, but they solved a lot of those, meaning us, Florida State, they. But Miami is going through that now, and they haven't solved those issues. And because they're scared of the big play, they play that too high safety look you're talking about, which means basically, look, the receivers are going to have opportunities in with wide swaths of grass to sit down, to settle in, and just make play after play after play. And Miami gives those plays up all the time.
Yeah, I think
Jordan can throw it around in this game, and I agree with you. The problem is you could pick your poison in that situation, because you'd be tempted to let him sling it.
Yes, you would be. And I think it depends on, this is the thing I'm going to look for immediately. Personally speaking.
Do they walk a safety up and say, we're going to take it away?
Or do they, slot defender, whatever it is, and roll one high, and then you have 7 guys near the line of scrimmage. If that happens, then you can throw the ball, and or Jordan can run. Well, they'll just collapse at the line, and then you've got something
they're going to do
on
both.
the edges.
I think they're going to be able to do both based on counting. He's going to count. Jordan can count.
Oh, and he did so against Georgia Tech early on, and that wasn't the problem in the first quarter. It was him missing throws, hitting the wrong shoulder, and situational stuff. This is a game, and I think the rest of the season outside of Louisiana is one in which, if we've got a chance for a house call on a run and there's a shoestring tackle, think about the first play from scrimmage this week. It's they check, they switch it, kill, blah, blah, blah. They run left, and Benson gets tackled, and it looks like it's going to go the distance.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones that I just, because
Stay
of
on
our
your feet, young man.
Because of our situational errors, come on, hit your head in the goalpost, please.
Yeah.
Let's not even invite those butterflies.
So can I do this? Can I say what we now know, because it was part of the report? It looks like Trayshawn Ward's going to be back. And guess who does hit his head on the goalpost if that opens up? Trayshawn Ward, that's who.
Well, he likes that specific style of running as well.
He does.
Now, the thing is, here's the fun part, though, because I feel like this is very similar to the discussion we had about Georgia Tech last week. Remember, we were talking about how the linebackers don't like the flow of things in motion. They don't handle that well.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing for Miami. If you can run that outside zone stuff we're running, if you can do that early, and that's what you establish, you can run counter off of that. My God, you're going to run for hundreds of yards.
So that's and I appreciate it, because it's I said the word, we wanted to vet this, and we are. But that is also a long-winded way of saying, I agree, Jeff, we could beat their ass.
Good. Yeah.
Do you think I succinctly summed up your thoughts there? That we, if they execute, are in a position to beat their ass.
Yeah, I think if Van Dyke is the quarterback,
you were on the stand. I'd say, thank you, sir. That's it. That's all. You've answered the question. You've answered. You don't have to give me any ifs, ands, or buts. You answered the question. You said yes. You don't have to equivocate. I get that we could fumble
leading, Your Honor.
We could fumble 5 times. Yes, we could get into the red zone and act like a-holes again. Yes, we could miss field goals. Yes, we could drop the ball on a direct snap. We could do any number of things that have frustrated all of us. Or we could execute, and if they execute, man.
I thought I'd be more scared of their front, and I'm less scared than I thought I'd be by a good margin.
Yeah, well, I hear you, buddy. If you're hearing this right now, speaking of hearing, and you or someone you know is active military, a veteran, police officer, firefighter, nurse, or a teacher, listen up. My friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans has a hometown hero loan program designed to make a difference to those of you, like the ones I just mentioned, that make a difference in their communities. It's time to buy a new home. You say to yourself, man, there's a lot here. How can I save some money? Well, he'll waive lender fees for all hometown heroes. That's almost $2,000 in value right off the bat. And if you go with their preferred title company, you save another $600. So we're saving money off the top in bunches. So again, if you are active military, veteran, police officer, firefighter, nurse, school teacher, and looking to buy a new home, choose Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans and ask about their Hometown Heroes program. Call 844-FSU-LOAN. If you get that loan, they'll give $250 to Rising Spear. So there you go. They're Noles. They're working with other Noles. People are getting their dream home, and then they're giving back to Rising Spear, and we're buying players.
Who should be giving it all to football players.
Oh, football players indeed. FSUHomeLoans.com, FSUHomeLoans.com.
I'm Carly Pierce, and here's what's happening on the next Bud and Broadway show.
We're going to tackle the age-old question. How old is too old for your kid to get an Easter basket? Because it is a big thing.
And after years of research, we now know how many times the average kid gets hurt in a year. And the number is way higher than you think.
And if you own a business, you need a good slogan. We're going to tell you some slogans that absolutely doomed a business to fail. Slogans like, Jesus saves and you can too, at Big Dave's Used Auto Clicks.
Imagine for a moment that you are completely weightless with zero gravity. All of your worries and stress melt away. Your mind stops racing and you fall into a profound state of pure relaxation. This is available to you right now at Tallulah Delta 8 Plus Floating in Railroad Square for just $50. These state-of-the-art floating pods are unlike anything else you've ever experienced, and while you're there, you can shop for some of the latest and greatest CBD and Delta 8 products on the market. Natural pain management, stress relief, and better sleep are all at your fingertips at Tallulah. Tell them Jeff Cameron sent you, and thank me later.
You were always more than my mom. You were my role model, my best friend, and biggest supporter. You filled my days with unconditional love. And you also prepared for the day when you couldn't be here. Because of the woman you were back then, I'm able to be the woman I am now. Your planning made this moment possible.
Set your family up for life. Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance. Your friends for life.
This is Andy Cohen. When I was a law enforcement officer, I devoted my life to a career of service and protection. Who's protecting you? Give me a call. 850-671-FARM. That's 671-FARM. Helping you is what we do best.
Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi. Not licensed to do business in all 50 states.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
I'll never forget
that moment.
As long as I live.
As long as I live.
My first call-up ever as a member of the National Guard.
When we got to the armory, they briefed us on the wildfires. They were getting dangerously close to homes.
Helicopters were going out to drop water on the fires. Guys in the unit were preparing for firefighting with local fire crews.
At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Florida National Guard. Aired by the Florida Association of Broadcasters in this state.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT. Greta, Tallahassee.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Just how high will the Federal Reserve raise interest rates?
The Fed is expected to announce a hefty 0.75 of a point hike in its key short-term rate. That would be its fourth straight increase. But what many Fed watchers are hoping is that Chair Jerome Powell will hint that the central bank may ease the pace of its hikes. Fed officials have stressed that they need to sharply raise rates to tame inflation, which reached 8.2% in September. So far this year, the Fed has raised its key rate 5 times in an aggressive pace that has sent borrowing rates surging and has heightened the risk of a recession. Donna Warder, Washington.
That announcement coming this hour. Also at townhall.com, more polling concerns for Democrats. Correspondent Ken Lorman reports the latest bad news for the party is in a new Wall Street Journal survey.
The Journal poll finds a shift toward Republicans, with voters especially concerned about the economy and inflation, but not as worried about abortion, January 6th, and supposed threats to democracy. Also troubling for Democrats, the poll found that economic issues are causing a critical party voting bloc to drift to Republicans. It found a 26-point swing toward the GOP among white suburban women. Ken Lorman reporting.
The NFL's Washington Commanders could soon be for sale. Owners Dan and Tanya Snyder say they've hired Bank of America Securities to consider potential transactions. The Commanders' worth an estimated $5.6 billion. Snyder's ownership has come under increased pressure recently amid investigations by the league office and Congress into the team's workplace culture and potential financial improprieties. On Wall Street, the Dow ahead 37 points now, and the NASDAQ is up 5. More at townhall.com.
Charlie Dombeck here from Key City Capital. As a practicing CPA for nearly 30 years, I have found that 80% of your ability to grow your wealth is dependent upon 2 factors: taxes and investment performance. At Key City Capital, we improve investment performance by diversifying capital into off-market investment opportunities in passive rental real estate and alternatives like asset-backed lending. We recover dollars that clients unnecessarily pay in the form of income taxes, creating a lifetime annuity of savings. We are a sponsor of passive, affordable single and multifamily residential rental investments, which are located in Sunbelt landlord-friendly states. These investments are the top choices in a rising interest rate and inflationary environment. They represent a store of value, protecting your capital from market volatility. Learn how we at Key City Capital can help you ultimately grow your wealth rapidly. Connect with me at keycitycapital.com or give me a call at 817-912-1569.
Physical stress on our bodies can take its toll as the years go by. Whether you're looking to get back into an old sport or just want to spend more time outdoors to explore all life has to offer in our beautiful city, the dedicated team at TOC is here for you every step of the way. You can trust TOC for all your orthopedic needs. And now, scheduling an appointment has never been easier. Just visit teamtoc.com and click schedule online. That's teamtoc.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout, resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It was good. It was good to catch up with Coach. And by the way, on Twitter, it's at Jay Cameron Show. Got a lot of stuff coming for you this week in terms of content. We'll do the Warchant report coming up later today. I'm going to be with Irish FL doing that. Aslan, I do believe, and I look forward to it. Any chance to talk Florida State, Miami. We'll have a chance on Friday to talk with Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports as well. Get his thoughts. Everybody is efforting at this point to figure out yay or nay on Mr. Van Dyke, whether or not he's going to play for them or not. Obviously, it's I think it's very important for Miami that he does play. If he cannot, I think this is a real uphill battle for them. It already is. Even if he does play, I think Florida State's still the better team. But without him, I think it's hard to find a path without Florida State kind of kicking the ball around and doing some stupid things.
A lot.
Which
Like
they could.
Frequently. It's not once or twice. It would take 5 or 6 offenses. But, we've done that before.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see. Corey writes in the chat, I'll answer a question here or two real quick. Is FSU's defensive line top 5 when healthy against the run overall? Or against the run, ? Overall. No and no. No. They are not. Are they formidable in the ACC? Are they a good defensive line if everybody's healthy? I think so. Good enough for what remains on the schedule. Top 5 in the country? No. God, no.
I'd say they could be top 20, but that's not top 5, not the same thing.
Not even close.
It's just that they're not even close to healthy either. I mean, there are some guys, and Coach Norvell said this
playing through things now.
That they're just going to have to. They're just going to have to through the end of the year.
The guy that's probably, I think, had to deal with the most of it besides Fabian Lovett, who outright missed a ton of games, has been Big Coop, man. I think that we saw him in the spring and again in the fall. We thought, as camp broke, that was the guy that was going to have a big year. He's got limitations. He's not a first-round draft pick or anything like that, but he's a guy that can really control the line of scrimmage and be explosive, and his pad level when low is a lot to deal with because he's so dense. He's a big guy, but he's had to deal with some things this year, and it's kind of made him, for lack of a better term, one-armed. And I think that he's been a shell of himself from the guy we saw coming out of camp. This is an example, without getting into depth with all the different guys, of guys playing through things. Football is a game that requires you to do that. I do think we get into a broader discussion of modern day practices and modern day football. There's a lot of good in the way that coaches have adapted to the medical. They have figured out what does and does not work, and some of the antiquated methodologies of coaches of yesteryear now would be laughed out the room because you were actually doing more damage to your players than preparation, than toughening up. But I also think there is a whole lot of weakening too in the amount of the lack of hitting. I think hurts guys. There's not enough intense hitting. I think that there ought to be more periods of it. I think too many guys take too many days off and time off. But that's just the byproduct of modern football. So bottom line is, I think that the definition of toughness anymore, I'm not talking about any one player that's been banged up for us or anything like that. The goalposts have shifted a little bit there, and from era to era. And that's, it's hard to get guys. You can't go back and try to acclimate. You can't say, oh, you know what, maybe we should have done more hitting. Maybe we needed, Florida State's had less depth than their opponents the last couple of years. And it's really been a situation where when they lost guys in segment groups, if they lost a starter, they did not have a plus player to supplant the guy that went out. They had a guy that could fill a role, but they weren't a plus player. They were just filling a role. They were, as they say, just a jag, just another guy, right? This year's version of Florida State's line of scrimmage, offensive and defense, has shown you the absolute success of this coaching staff in teaching, coaching up, and convincing transfer portal players to come and raising the floor a depth of talent. So that's the only way you explain being able to run consistently and even dominate at times the line of scrimmage against a number of teams, despite having lost starters on this offensive line, 2 of which basically have been gone for the entirety of the season, never getting a chance to play in a meaningful game. I mean, if you think back on it now, Bless Harris didn't play in a meaningful game. He played in a game against a high school team. So that sucks, right? So you lose that guy. He's your starter. Prior to that, you lost Caden Lyles before the year even began. You've had injuries up front where guys either miss time or are playing through injuries. And yet, because you were smart enough to go out and get a Dimitri Emmanuel, and because you've been able to stockpile some players and also develop others and get stronger, you could withstand those losses and still be effective. Defensively this year, I think that kind of speaks to the same thing. You lost your best defensive tackle. Fabian Lovett, unquestionably your best defensive tackle. Though, like the one guy we all thought, like, you don't lose him. You can lose a couple other guys. We don't want anybody to get hurt, but if somebody does, because it's football, let it not be him. We did lose him. And yet you're in a position to be pretty effective most days up front because you've gotten better, you've gotten stronger, you've taught it well, and you've also you went out and brought in some quality players.
That's the biggest feather in the cap for this coaching staff is if you said on November 1st or November 2nd that these are the guys that were going to miss time. Fabian, no Bless Harris, no Caden Lyles, Robert Scott's going to miss several games, right? And you go down that list because there's a lot of dudes that missed a lot of time that were really important. And you add the guys that were not 100%. And you said, what's their record? This is in August 15th.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
3-5.
You'd be worried about
2-6.
You'd be really worried about
it. The biggest feather in the cap for this coaching staff is not only are they 5-3, you feel like they're cheated. They cheated themselves to not be 6-2 in that situation. So what does that speak to? What you're talking about, development, fostering depth where there felt like there was none before the season started, and just outright coaching it up and putting them in a position to not only be ahead on the scoreboard in some of these games by smoke and mirrors, but by merit, by winning the line of scrimmage. This isn't one of those deals with all these injuries that smoke and mirrors puts you in a position to win games you shouldn't win.
Yeah.
Yards per play wise, we're doing just fine this season.
Dominated a lot of yards per play, even in losses. We were better in yards per play against Wake and Clemson. And, you really had opportunities there. It is frustrating when you lose games like that. That speaks to the situational failures. But,
I was going to say it's for different reasons than last year, because last year your yards per play could be hidden through 3 explosives that go for 60-plus yards on the ground, like a Jayshon Corbin run. There's another Trayshawn for 40 yards, and it inflates the number. But we talked about it this season. Wouldn't it be nice to be in 2nd and 5 every once in a while? It's nice to put 21 points on the board in 2.5 quarters of play when you have a couple explosive plays. That's fine. Like, we'll take it. We're not going to give it back.
Right.
But wouldn't it be nice to be able to control the ball and get into 2nd and 6 and be ahead of the chains? They've done a very good job of that this year.
Yeah, and I think that what you're seeing is the molding of an identity moving forward for the program. So I think as he gets better players in here and they continue to create depth, they're not going to go away from these core principles of running the football as their methodology. Now, listen, right now where they're weak, and everybody who watches this team knows it. It's why they kind of have to engineer some of the things that they do or why they attempt to. They're fine, and you just said it, running between the 20s. But when the field gets condensed, they don't have the requisite strength, size, or talent to be able to bully people consistently when it's packed up close like that. Not everybody does. I mean, I would look around the country and tell you that is frequently the case. That the numbers and the math changes because obviously they're not worried about getting beat vertically. They're not worried, teams aren't defensively worried about getting beat over the top. They don't have to play you honest at all. In fact, the opposite is true. Now I need my tight ends to come in and make a difference. And they don't. This group doesn't. But as you get better there and you get stronger up front, which the backups to these starters are no doubt getting, we're not having to rush freshmen out there right now. Even if I make the argument that Julian Armella is capable of playing right now, clearly they're trying to get through the season and not have to play him as a starter. That's fine if you can do it. If you go 9-3 and not have to do it, great, man, great. Well, I'll tell you what, everybody's allowed to get bigger and stronger and seasoned and indoctrinated into the philosophy, and both schematically and then also in terms of preparation that Coach Atkins wants, all these things. You're building towards a team that is going to have this mentality that we can run on anybody, that we can just run on you. We are going to, it travels. I said yesterday on the show, I think, or maybe it was Monday when I was talking with you and we've talked off the air, I really, really thoroughly enjoy watching Michigan play football right now because for a long time, Harbaugh would line up and attempt to play the game that he wanted to be true. He wanted it to play, but was incapable. Right. So they went through years of beating their head against the wall. You want to play this way like you did at Stanford, But your team isn't good enough. You're not big enough. You're not strong enough. You don't have the right runners. Your tight ends aren't good enough. Stop trying to do that. Stop square peg, round hole. Stop doing that. But to his credit, and I think to Michigan's, and this is the argument for patience, by the way, it applies to Mike Norvell and any other coach that you hire. He's like, no, man, I ain't changing. We're running. We are going to become this. We will be at some point this thing that I envision. Just give me time. And he almost ran out of time. Had he not been a famous alum, he probably was out of time. His adherence to this would have cost him his job. But the Michigan faithful, where else are we going to go? We've tried. Where else are we going? Let's just keep him here. We're making marginal progress. It'll click. Well, it is now. And they do the stuff they did at Stanford. They'll roll 3 tight ends out there. They have an extra offensive lineman, and here's a whole bunch of, hey, everybody, we're running right, and you can't do a damn thing about it. Get you some. And I love watching that. That's old school football.
What sucks is I think we had a little bit of that in our base offense if it wasn't for injuries. I think that was going to be in the offense this year.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying, now, look, we're not going to try to emulate everything that Michigan
does.
No.
It's out of the
football.
gun.
We're not talking about that. But I am talking about a mentality and establishing a modus operandi, or the way you go about your business.
Look at the evolution of what you've seen just this year. So to start the season, there was a lot of similarities between last year's rushing offense and this year's first game.
Mm-hmm.
And the LSU game is what I'm looking at. So there's a lot of that counter stuff. And then off of that, you've got end arounds or read options, and then a true, like our triple option kind of thing where Jordan can keep it or throw it out to the bubble, right? And you're kind of basing it off of that kind of look. Now they're running outside zone. I questioned it against NC State. I thought that was odd that they kept on trying to hammer the wall, hit their head against the wall with that in the second half. What happened to our bread and butter? Well, then they ran it on Clemson, and they were extremely successful. And they've continued to be successful with that element of the running game. So now you got 2 things that you're good at. You can run the counter and you can run the outside zone. You know what's next? Is the basic stuff that Gus ran at Auburn and that kind of offensive family runs, which is, it's got a physical nature to it. But on 1st and 10, it's right at you, 2nd and 7, and now you're playing with tempo and who knows what's
you're
coming
winning
next.
First down, and you can do that. You can play with speed.
And then you can run the outside zone with the counter. I mean, and now you don't know where to go. If you're a linebacker or a safety or slot defender, you're like, holy crap, I don't know what to do.
And
then there's a guy right behind you.
Well,
and it's a seam pass for a big gain.
And we've hit the seam this year very well. We've actually, in the passing game, been able to hit the seam with our tight end some. So the one thing I'll say is, now imagine, and this is where you get excited and where the opportunity presents itself. They have been very cautious with Jordan Travis. Extremely cautious. Now, I think they got spooked when he got hurt against Louisville. I think they were like, oh, man. Okay, now we survived it tonight. Good job. Tate, good on you. Good to see that you were capable in those moments. But we don't want to face life without that guy right now. And there's so much more we can do to attack defenses when he's present. It changes what defenses are allowed to do. It changes the running game in particular. Can we get in the second half of the season, into the second half of the season, with enough wins and enough momentum and enough health to really make a run? And this is where we came out of the Clemson game and I said, here you go. We're getting healthier. Guys are coming back. We've got a bye game. Jordan Travis is another week down the road healthy. All right. Let's buckle up. It's time to bust some ass. Now it's everybody in. I don't have time to worry about you anymore. These remaining games, I'm running you if I have to. Now, listen, Georgia Tech, you didn't have to, so don't do it. And you don't have to do it probably against Louisiana Lafayette. But I dare say it's the training wheels, for lack of a better term, are off on the offense now. And that's not the right way to phrase it, meaning they weren't scared of him not understanding. It was they don't want him to get hurt. But the red zone will be more efficient, if you believe Fitzy's going to make kicks again, and you believe Jordan is now part of the solution, play calling wise, with his legs in the red zone. And I think they will do that.
Well, and they did against Clemson. So, that's the thing.
It tells you they'll do it.
Yes, that it's in there. It's not coming from Jordan per se, for example, right? This is something that they've decided collectively that they don't need to do until they need to do it. Sounds like a Yogi Berra-ism. But that was the frustrating thing from a prize pick standpoint last week when I wanted to pick Jordan to go over on the rushing
Didn't
total.
even bother.
Well, because
not one run.
There's a 60-yard touchdown in there where he's untouched if you want it at some point. I'm not saying specifically I've got a moment in that, but that's just, they're going to give it up. We don't need that. We don't need that this week was clearly the message. The question is, because Miami does give it up as well to the quarterback, whether it was Middle Tennessee and that ragtag offensive line, which from a Pro Football Focus standpoint graded out, their pass grade was under 20. I mean, that's like some stuff you saw from Willie's first year here on the offensive line, and yet they hit those bombs.
Yeah, good point, by the way. I want a TPE, good call. Governors. You're taking out the governor, yeah.
Yeah. We all have had the golf cart.
Or the U-Haul.
Yep.
And now I've got a U-Haul that goes 80. Let's go. They're taking off the governor. Let him go. Let him go.
Miami will give that up as well. They have consistently this season, but I wonder if they don't probe it early and say, do we have to have it? Do we need Jordan here? Do they go for 2 or 3 drives and say, unless we get into an obvious situation that beckons, that you have to use Jordan's legs as a threat, do we actually need it?
You're talking this weekend?
This weekend.
Well, they may be able to be in a position not to have to use him. I'm saying is they won't be so reticent. They will say, yeah, let's go. We can use him here if we need it in the red zone. Maybe not between the 20s, even though you could.
Right.
But in the red zone, if they're getting stoned again, and they will, they will, then it's time to say, all right, well, Jordan, I'm going to have to run you here, man. I'm going to have to run you here. So let's buck up, soldier. Get this ball in the end zone. I think you just roll. I think you can put him in a position where he doesn't have to get hit. He has to be a threat. So you can roll him out and let him throw the ball like the one we dropped on 4th down. That's right in the hands.
It was?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes, it was.
It reminded me of the Johnny throw against NC State on 4th down, which is it a perfect throw? No. But is it more than adequate? Yes. It's more than adequate.
It's at this level of football, we catch that. We catch that
well,
one, son.
And you know what?
Yeah.
Preston Daniel did the next time on 4th down. That was not a great throw.
No.
But you know what? 45 actually came down with it. One of the plays of the game, along with a 3rd and 10 conversion at 24-10 in the ball game, or 3rd and long, whatever it was. But at 24-10, opening kickoff, onside kick, they go down, they score. We're in 3rd and long, and we're pinned down deep in our own territory.
But we convert is what we do.
Don't have those moments against Miami, though. That's all I'm saying.
You're going to probably have some, but I mean, I get what you're saying.
If you're outplaying them to that degree, don't do this.
Yeah.
That was
give them a reason to believe.
This is a much better team than the other one I'm about to mention. But 4 years ago, you remember, 3rd and don't turn it over.
Oh, well, we don't need to bring this up. I was there. That is, don't drop him back. What do you dropped him? Oh, he's dead. There it is. And he fumbled. Guess what? We're going to lose. Matt Britton, who I was at the game with, will be able to tell you. Before it happened, I turned to him and said, if they drop him back, he's going to get hit and fumble. It was like slow motion. It's happening. It's happening. Oh, man, I'm still pissed about it. Very quickly, if you're thinking about solar panels at your house or your business, don't forget to think about the condition of your roof first before you sign a solar panel contract. Make sure you call my friend T-Spark Enterprises to come out and inspect your roof. The last thing you want to do is have to pay, an additional $10,000 just to remove your newly installed panels to get the new roof put on and then go back, do it all over again. We don't want all that. No. You don't want to do that. So have them come out, take a good look at it, make sure everything's good to go. And I will tell you that T-Spark continues to be the best in the business. Give them a call today, 766-1340. Get a free quote today, tsparkconstruction.com. Hey, fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit isf.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Every day, Sellers makes life a little better for homeowners, helping them find the best design ideas for their homes with the best quality tile, carpet, and hardwood flooring. Even mosaics, ceramic, and vinyl solutions are at their fingertips in their remarkable showroom. Maybe it's time for you to get the Sellers Advantage for your home or office. Find them on Capitol Circle Northeast, just north of Mahan Drive, or online at sellerstile.com. For style, quality, and design, get the Sellers Advantage. In Tallahassee, call 656-8453.
Hey, this is Greg Tish. Here's something you might know about me. I don't drink coffee. I have never had a cup of coffee in my life. Well, that is until now. So why change now? It was because my dear friend at Grassroots Coffee reached out to me after hearing me say that and insisted that I give his product a try. I've been making a huge mistake. The world of coffee is fascinating. I always thought coffee is coffee, you know? No, it's not. I have tried their coffee and it is fantastic. Now, I've got a fascination with learning more about the best coffee in our area. Grassroots Coffee is locally roasted, locally owned, and locally loved. You can find whole bean Grassroots Coffee on the local aisle at Publix, also in Whole Foods, but the best way to get this black gold is to order it online. They literally grind the fresh roasted beans to your preferred level, bag it, write the date on it by hand so you know the exact day your coffee was roasted. It doesn't get any more fresh than that. Order yours now. Just go to grassrootscoffee.com and choose the coffee you want and how you want it, and join me. Let's step up our coffee game together and also support a great local business.
Let me tell you what T-Spark stands for. It stands for strength, commitment, teamwork, and heart. We don't ever quit until we've got nothing left to give. Our team is unstoppable. Want a guaranteed win? Call T-Spark Enterprises for your next roofing or construction project. We conquer all peaks. T-SparkConstruction.com. License number CCC 1331204.
At Epps Decorating Center, we're your locally owned Benjamin Moore retailer. We're your store for quality with brilliant and durable paints in a variety of sheens and thousands of colors. We're your store for service with one-on-one advice for contractors and homeowners. We're your local experts, and we're here to help with all your painting projects. Benjamin Moore, available at Epps Decorating Center with 2 locations in Tallahassee. Find a store near you and visit EppsDecorating.com. That's EppsDecorating.com.
The following message is sponsored by the Florida Department of Elder Affairs, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
Soon, it will be time to make important decisions about your Medicare prescription drug coverage. Shine counselors provide free, unbiased help in selecting a Medicare Part D or Advantage plan. If you have questions, Shine can guide you through the enrollment period ending December 7th. For more information or to volunteer, call 1-800-963-5337 or go to floridashine.org.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
I'm happy. I'm in a good mood. Hitting the mic right there. Hitting the mic. Everybody feel good?
Oh, did you static it?
Yeah,
I was shifting the headphones.
Yeah,
I got lucky on that one.
It's loud, man. It's loud.
It's like clicking the empty square on the Minesweeper.
Speaking of the Minesweeper, I love when you play Stratego and you get to go boom when somebody hits the bomb.
I've never played it.
You've never played Stratego?
No.
It's a great game. Anyhow, in Stratego, you can set out mines in your battlefield there as they're advancing forward.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And unless it's a miner, like somebody who's able to sweep those without blowing themselves up. I think that's
Minesweeper?
a scout, I guess. Yeah, I think it's like 8. I don't remember. It's been a minute. But anyhow, you get those guys. Unless it's one of those, you just say when they touch on your little figure there, you go, boom. Dude just got blown to hell. Give me that guy. Get you some of that.
I got sent to timeout when I was 7 years old. We were playing spades downstairs.
Oh, good game. I used to play spades with the fellas back in the day, yeah.
My dad hated the chatter. He'd say, no kibitzing. Let's go. Let's play. And so I didn't say anything bad, but I scared my family because I used a term from NBA Jam. I go, Tomahawk Jam! And I screamed it. And my mom was napping, and my family was, so I got sent to my room.
I used to play NBA jams with a buddy of mine for hours on end. We would go to this little arcade. Back when arcades were a thing, they were everywhere. Miss them dearly. Used to go there, and we would just, I think the kids hated us. We would own that machine for 3 hours. Sorry. We're going to be here a minute. We would go best 4 out of 7. We play entire series with teams. All right. This time around, it's the Eastern Conference Finals, and
Well, the era was perfect when I was growing up for that game because you had duos and trios.
You still kind of do
across
the
10
super
teams, 12 teams.
Mm-hmm.
But you had so many. The Eastern Conference had about 6 of them.
Yeah.
Even though the Hornets weren't any good, you had Grandmama and you had Alonzo Mourning for a minute there. And then you had Smits and Reggie Miller. And you go.
You could go team. It was so much fun. Yeah. Gary Payton and Sean Kemp.
Right.
Oh, with Seattle. That was fun. Yeah.
Drexler and Akeem, Stockton and Malone, Ewing and Starks.
Drexler was a lot of fun. They always give him a little extra what for. And once somebody got on fire, you're like, oh no, somebody's on fire. This is not good. I'm screwed. Yeah, I always love that. But I also love that game because you could just push people down and take the ball. That was part of it. Just like, get you some.
The precursor to NFL Blitz.
Yeah. I loved it. So I do think there is one aspect of this game that I guess I'm worried about, and that is the effect it has on this team. You and I were talking off the air. So let's say you beat, obviously, Miami here, and you rub salt into the wound of a season. It's a beautiful thing.
He's looking ahead, folks. Look out.
How about that? Are you ready? Can you handle the emotional fallout from a big win on the road against a rival, a statement game, and now you got to go up to the Carrier Dome against Syracuse and be ready to go?
This is next level trolling. You say, are you mature enough to handle after a blowout of Miami?
Yeah.
Going up to the former Carrier Dome.
I'm thinking out loud a little bit. Just thinking
we're not going to capture the part where I call attention to it. We're just going to look at that part.
You're just going to troll that way?
Yeah.
No, I thought about it, gosh, you go down there, you beat a team that's not equipped to compete, and you take care of business against an overwhelmed bunch, still trying to find their way in the darkness. Lost, maybe not bought in. Doesn't feel like Miami's bought into Cristobal and his conservative nature and some of the things that he's tried to teach them. And so you go ahead and add to their woes. You win that game, and now you got to go play a more disciplined, better program in Syracuse on the road. And so, let's see if you can bounce right back from a big win, from a lopsided affair.
If I'm going to indulge in this conversation, which sure, why not? The 8 p.m. kick actually helps you in that regard. There would be nothing worse for complacency or fostering complacency, as we've seen this past weekend, or sloppiness, than a noon kickoff in the former Carrier Dome. Are you kidding? Like I'd actually in that ilk rather
the night
play
game.
The night game. You get a little bit more time to understand the gravity of things. Otherwise, you're just listless, and you just can't have it. You can't have a quarter like this past first quarter. Sloppiness left and right. You got throws to the wrong shoulder. You got drops. You've got the offensive line look like they're not, awake yet. You got red zone issues. Defensively, you're okay, but there are a couple things that a better offense would take advantage of. So I don't want that nooner at Syracuse. I know we're going to be up till 2:30 in the morning on the post-game show. It's okay. I'd rather have the 8 p.m. kick. It's better for us.
Well, apparently every FSU game is now a night game outside of this last one. Like the depths to which the opponent has to suffer before you get a noon game around here is something. It took a bereft of hope Georgia Tech program for them to go, okay, slap that one at noon.
Right. Yeah. Breaking news: Louisiana, Florida State, 11 p.m. ACC network. ACC After Dark.
I'm not going to complain, man. If you're in a position to win games and you play them whenever, man. I just start getting excited again. Maybe it's a way of, we talk about toughening your body in camp, like boxers do in training. This is us getting prepared to matter every week for next year and the year after, the seasons in which we're celebrating our return to an elite neighborhood. It's what happened. Parties are at night, Tom. They're not in the morning a lot of times. They are nighttime events. And in our new neighborhood, this is when our neighbors decide they want to have parties.
How's it go? The nighttime is the right time?
Yeah. So, and there was a time, obviously, when the younger versions of ourselves would be like, there should never be a noon game. Every game should be at night. That's many moons ago that we believed that. Now I understand when all the old people were like, what? But it's also because I think the other problem is it's not just the work that we have to do and what that means. And I'm not complaining. It's just that that's the reality of the job. But also because we love college football and you want to see other college football games.
More so now, like even when we were bad, I didn't like the sport as much when we were terrible. And the COVID year, the product was just awful. 2020, it didn't matter what game you turned on. I think I could count on one hand the amount of good football games.
That's
one of them,
true.
Incidentally, was A&M Auburn. I remember that game because I thought, oh,
a good football game is broken out.
This looks like an actually good football game.
Yeah, right.
But as we get better, I want to see how we compare to the other teams that are ranked in the top 15. Like, I'm excited to go take a look at these other squads that are around 12 to 17 in the country and say, are they actually better than we are? Because I don't think they are.
Did you watch the Sham last night to have fun?
No.
You didn't watch the Sham?
No.
I kind of had fun just watching a bit of the Sham, the made-for-TV event last night, just because I always like to find the glaring mistake where that poor bastard has to come on and try to make excuses for why it is.
It's not a mistake. It's a plant so they could have a talking point for the next week.
Of course. But even amongst the planned talking points, there are those moments where they're like, man, we really have to suspend all form of logic if we have LSU at number 10. I mean, how is that possible that we have LSU at number 10?
I would hit the recruiting circuit with, we have a top 10 win in their state this year. That's what we have at Florida State.
I mean, like the second you see that, you're like, really? So there's a 3-loss Texas team ranked. There's like, you could go on and on. Like there were any number of things. What are we doing here? But I get that it's so much easier when you know it's made for TV and that's its whole thing. But it's been pretty funny. I don't know. I laughed a little bit when I saw the comments right afterwards. People get up in arms, and you're like, "Well, don't do that, guys. Don't feed into it. You know it's silliness. You know that it doesn't matter for any reason."
It's the Maury Povich show of sports. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Are you the fourth team? You are the fourth team. No. TCU should be fourth.
FSU has all losses by 10 or less. All the ranked teams also have a win over number 10 LSU.
That's right, a top 10 win.
Top 10 win. Texas has 3 losses. Their best wins against Oklahoma, 2 losses against ranked teams, all losses by 10 or less. So obviously we have the better resume. It's not close, and we're not ranked there. So you could do that through the whole thing.
Don't you do it.
I actually think it's more interesting to do it when you get further down, not the top 4 or 5. Like, also, I would tell you there's no way Clemson should be in the top 4.
Don't do it.
I'm trying to get you there. I'm trying to go.
The only thing I care about is what we can do to brag on recruiting. And so if we're ranked, that's better for us in recruiting. But I'm not going to sit here and compare resumes between us and other squads and say, oh, well, why are we being held out? Because it's a television product. This doesn't do anything except it gives a platform to Feinbaum and Heather Dinich to argue with Mike Greenberg on Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning.
I don't think
on
they
Get
even
Up.
do that anymore, do they?
I'm pretty sure they do.
Do they do that?
Yeah.
How does Heather Dinich have a job? That's just something. Chef Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
The Tallahassee man accused of a heinous double murder could opt for a plea deal next month. Aaron Glades accused of abducting and killing 2 women in June of 2020. Arrest papers say missing Black Lives Matter protester Oluwatoyin Salau was found buried in Glades' backyard, and community volunteer Victoria Sims was found bound and bloody inside his home. Court records now show that a judge has scheduled a plea and sentencing hearing for December 19th and signed off on a transfer order to bring Glade to court for an in-person sentencing hearing. To express gratitude to local veterans, Gadsden County is inviting veterans veterans to a drive-through appreciation luncheon on Veterans Day, November 11th, hosted by Gadsden County's Board of County Commissioners and Veterans Service Department. The luncheon will be held from 11 to 1 at the Gadsden County Extension Building located at 2140 West Jefferson Street in Quincy. The luncheon is open to the public and encourages veterans to arrive in their vehicles from Highway 90. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Partly cloudy this afternoon with highs around 84. North winds around 5 miles per hour. Lows level off around 62 tonight. Mainly clear skies. Daytime highs approaching 83 tomorrow. Ample sunshine expected. Dry with temperatures a bit above average Friday and Saturday and highs in the low 80s. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 78.
Let's take a minute to imagine all the things you can accomplish with help from Southeast Portable Buildings. Are you a hoarder? Hoard some more. Get a storage shed. Mother-in-law moving in with you? Put her in a shed out back. I'm kidding. Still working on that engine that you're going to finish from last summer? Move it out to a new workspace with Southeast Portable Buildings. From she sheds and man caves to repair shops and trophy rooms, the possibilities are only limited to your imagination. Visit Southeast Portable Buildings today.
Hey, what's happening, Jeff?
It is always good to see you, Eddie. Had a long day, my man. I was thinking about it. Gordo's was the place to ease the pain. You know, you're frustrated with your job, your aggravated life's beating you down. Maybe your wife's speaking. You got to get out the door.
You know what? Here at Gordo's, man, we welcome everybody. Disgruntled wives, disgruntled husbands, kids running away from home. We'll even give that kid a job. Send them our way.
Go make some money and eat delicious food at Gordo's. It's perfect.
And have a damn good time doing it.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Hey, Greg Tish here along with
Matty Rowe.
And you can listen to us Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Real Talk 93.3. Matt, we give away a couple things each week.
Just a few.
We've got the Florida Farm Bureau Insurance Wheel of Food. We have Give Me a Second, where we play a second of a song and you guess that song. And we also play FLA or Nay. We have a lot of fun Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on
The Greg Tish Show.
Think that's enough?
We could talk about our feelings.
There's a lot.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jammin' Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Potential for bowl matchups, bowl games. We are at the time of year where I start to look at some of that stuff.
Completely different conversation.
Yeah,
Love
that
it.
you'll do.
Love it.
Yeah, that you'll do.
Because there's a lot of decent destinations and a couple of home run destinations for us.
Yeah, and right, with the games that are still to be played, we are really going to determine our own future, right? I mean, this is, if you win all these games, you could be in a very, very big bowl. You have a chance to play. I know a lot of our fans would want us to play like New Year's Eve at the Gator Bowl or something like that.
You could even maybe slot, I don't know what I never look at the college football playoff tie-ins because we're never in it. But maybe this is not an Orange Bowl semifinal year. If Clemson goes, would there be a slot open for us in that particular circumstance?
That'd be cool. Clemson ain't going anywhere. They got a couple of losses coming.
I would actually be, that'd be great for the program. I would be disappointed.
Oh, buddy.
I would be disappointed.
I'd go down there and have fun.
You would, because you've got Los Tacos.
Hey, man, don't be talking that. We don't need everybody out Los Tacos.
Well, I'm just speaking generically.
Yeah.
You've got the tacos.
Those people find their own place, man.
Yeah.
So, yes, I have this alleged taco joint I like and some other areas that I like to enjoy when I'm down there.
If you could choose between the Pinstripe,
what about the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl? No, I don't want to go to there. What about the Duke's Mayo Bowl?
That is in Charlotte, right?
Yeah, we're always
or
in
the Holiday Bowl out in San Diego.
Oh, I'm down with it. I don't think it's called the Holiday. It is the San Diego State Credit Union Holiday Bowl. That is right. Yeah.
All right. Welcome back.
Oh, I'm going.
That's an expensive bowl, but I think it's
Gene's got us. Let's roll on. Hey, somebody's got to cover this thing.
Bill from CP has got us. He said he wants to go on a roadie with us to a bowl game. So it could be
God bless the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill on Appalachia Parkway. Bill will be there covering and giving insight to what it is to play in the San Diego Credit Union Holiday Bowl. I believe that takes place on December 28th. And if we were to go to said bowl game out in San Diego, great city that it is, we would be forced, I would think. You wouldn't want to hasten a trip back for New Year's. You have to stay out in San Diego for New Year's, perhaps. You might have to do it to really take it all in. Now,
I've got in-law family in San Diego.
You mentioned the Pinstripe Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Was that the 30th?
December 29th.
Tom. Oh, okay.
December 29th
All
is
right.
the Pinstripe Bowl.
Oh.
I am in on the Pinstripe Bowl. Man, let's go. Let's go. I want us to make the best bowl possible. So, win all the games. And if it means we end up having to stay somewhere nearby and go to the stupid Gator Bowl, then so be it. I'll traverse over that sorry-ass Gator Bowl again. Been there a million times. But I would prefer
a little Manhattan action.
Yeah, I think I do. I don't mind if I do.
Might even be tempted to go up early for Christmas. Why not?
Well, that's a lot of days. But you're in a better position to be able to do that. My kids might be like, well, Dad, I'd like to see you during the holidays. That's kind of a toughie.
I might have a tie-in too, where I can rest my head and not spend $600 for a studio hotel.
Right. Where is you said, where's the Sun Bowl? Is that out in Phoenix? Is that out in Scottsdale? Is it Tempe? No, where's the Sun Bowl?
The Sun Bowl is in
that's El Paso. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I don't want to go.
But everybody loved it.
Yeah, they're all lying. They're wrong. No. They're all wrong, period. I've been to El Paso. They're wrong. Stop it. I'm not saying this as somebody who's never been to El Paso. I have been to El Paso. I'm telling you, no, Tom. Just trust me on this. You tend to trust my view of these cities. I surprised you.
Yeah, Birmingham.
Yeah.
You got me.
Yeah, it's a good city.
Birmingham is a good city.
It is. I'm telling you.
Stunned.
You know what's not? El Paso. Just trust me on this. No cause to be riding out to El Paso.
Starting to sound like other time slots around here.
No, I'm just letting you know. No. Is there beauty? Yes. Are there moments where you look around and say, this is stunning, but not enough to carry the day? Not enough for you to be like, we should stay longer. No.
I just want an honest to goodness roadie, That's a little road trip action.
I actually drove to El Paso.
Ooh.
Well, on my way to Tempe.
That probably affected your view of El Paso a little bit, though.
I'm glad I made the trip. That's when we lost to Tennessee in the national championship game. I went with my buddy Todd Van Dyke in a Ford F-150, just the two of us, driving all the way from Tallahassee to Tempe, Arizona. That's quite the trip. Stopped in Fort Stockton, Texas. That was also quite a place. My goodness, bless any of you military men and women that have ever been stationed in Fort Stockton, Texas. How you didn't shoot yourself, I don't know.
Man, I've heard this story a few times, and I always wish it was Fort Hancock because of Shawshank. He's getting busted. Fort Hancock, Texas, please.
Ricky, you were in Fort Stockton or El Paso? Whichever one. Ain't nothing in El Paso is right, Ricky. Yeah.
I'm sure they have mini golf. Come on.
They do in Fort Stockton, by the way. I actually made note of that. I was look at this little mini golf course.
All right.
That'll last you an hour.
If you gamble on it. Not if you gamble on it.
You'd have to gamble on walking down the street in Fort Stockton to make life interesting. You would be
I'll put a 20
upset.
In the bottom of the cup on a random hole. You just don't know.
This hotel we stayed in. This is hilarious. Before I die, I need to go back to this hotel if it's still there. I can't imagine it is. At the time that we went, I didn't
El Paso?
No, in Fort Stockton, Texas. I didn't have any money. I hadn't made it yet, and so I had no money. We were just getting by.
You do the dishes to pay your way?
I mean, no. I mean, I was able to pay for the hotel and all that. But I'm saying, we couldn't really stay in nice places. We couldn't go. Hence the reason we were driving to freaking Tempe. You would never do that.
From the arcade machine in order to pay for your room?
I did not. No. I would not want the locals after me in Fort Stockton, Texas. So I'm telling you now, I remember when we stayed at this hotel, and I remember saying to my buddy, I was like, you're going to remember this. We are always going to remember that we stayed here if we live. If we survive tonight and make it out of here, we're always going to look back and smile. The pictures from that time are hilarious when I go back and look at them. Just broke ass me, just surviving. You're just getting by, Tom. You're just on your way to this place, this beleaguered, I got to get there.
Do you know the name of it?
The hotel?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Remember the road it was on?
There's a road runner, a giant road runner. And he's huge. Like right when you get into Fort Stockton, I remember they have a road runner because there's actual road runners out there. You see the tumbleweeds. You do the whole thing. Tumbleweeds, coyotes, ghosts of Texas lawmen. It's just a bizarre. It's crazy. All right.
Look at that road runner.
You see it in Fort Stockton? Or are you just looking at a road runner?
Is that really his name? Paisano Pete? Come on now.
Yes.
Paisano Pete.
Yes.
Built in 1979.
Yes. You're looking at it. That's it. I told you. There's the giant road runner. You think I'm making this up? I drove right past
just
that.
the name.
I drove right
in Fort Stockton.
Guys, I drove and took a picture with that thing. There's a picture of a younger version of me. Tattered jeans and a T-shirt. Freezing, by the way, when we were there. It was freezing. I was not dressed for the occasion. Couldn't afford a jacket.
It's across the street from Mingo's Burritos.
Ate at Mingo's Burritos.
Did you?
Ate at a Mexican restaurant there, if that's the one. Find out what year it was established. If it was there in 1998 or whatever that was, yes, I was there.
Also on the Google Maps is the historic Fort Stockton sign.
Look, do you see the desperation in that photo? Do you see when you look out there, all that open nothingness? Just look off in the distance away from the Roadrunner and see the desperation, the sadness in the heart. Look at that.
Was it the Deluxe Inn that you stayed at?
Look at that. Are you looking at that? I mean, my God. Look at that. Just screams, God help us. What have we done? All the decisions we've made in our life have led to this moment where we are here.
Photo credit, Brian Ford.
Let's come back and wrap it up momentarily. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Hi, I'm Alex Stimley, candidate for Leon County School Board, District 4. As a lifelong resident, I've attended our schools, I've worked in our schools, and my kids go to our schools. For me, this election is not about power, it's not about title, and it's not about politics. This is about our kids and the positive impact our schools can have on our community. Our schools are vulnerable, our parents are voiceless, and our educators are defenseless. Your kids, grandkids, your neighbor's kid, and my 2 kids. That's my why. I'm Alex Stimley, and I have paid for and approved this message. And I hope to have your vote for Leon County School Board, District 4.
This is Kyle, Service Manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry bucks to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
Imagine for a moment that you are completely weightless with zero gravity. All of your worries and stress melt away. Your mind stops racing and you fall into a profound state of pure relaxation. This is available to you right now at Tallulah Delta 8 Plus Floating in Railroad Square for just $50. These state-of-the-art floating pods are unlike anything else you've ever experienced. And while you're there, you can shop for some of the latest and greatest CBD and Delta 8 products on the market. Natural pain management, stress relief, and better sleep are all at your fingertips at Tallulah. Tell them Jeff Cameron sent you and thank me later. If you're hearing this right now and you or someone you know is active military, a veteran, police officer, firefighter, nurse, or a teacher, turn up the volume and listen to this. My friend Shannon with Legendary Home Loans has a hometown hero loan program designed to make a difference to those who make a difference. When it's time to buy a new home, he will waive all lender fees for all hometown heroes. That's a $1,600 value right out of the gate. Also, if you decide to use their preferred title company for their closing, you'll be saving another $600. That's $2,200 in discounts right off the top. That's like 20 tanks of gas in your car. And today, more than ever, it's important to save as much money as you can, wherever you can. So if you or someone you know is active military, veteran, police officer, firefighter, nurse, or a school teacher, and looking to buy a new home, choose Shannon Young, Legendary Home Loans, and ask about their Hometown Heroes program. Call 844-FSU-LOAN or just visit FSUHomeLoans.com. That's FSUHomeLoans.com.
Equal
housing lender. NMLS number 2270146.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Cameron Show brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Right last night, man, it was a dong festival.
Oh,
I cracked up laughing, huh? Just every time you looked up, oh, look at that, another dong. Phillies,
what is this, Game of Thrones?
Too many of these. If you want to, I will say a few words about our friends at Tallulah, whom I enjoy thoroughly. And I actually am going to get me a juice today from Tallulah. Can't float today. Can't do the pod. But there's the floating guy. When I went out to San Francisco and the surrounding areas, Tom, you see them everywhere. You see them everywhere. They're adorable.
They look just,
I mean, they're unbelievable. Look at them.
I just want to float down a lazy river with 10 of those guys.
You're like, hey, guys, let's just enjoy. The Dong Festival that occurred last night was fun to watch, and even more fun is to listen to pitchers who know what they're talking about describe how these things work. John Smoltz is fantastic at his job, and I would also note that Pedro Martinez is fantastic at his job. And when the two of those guys are breaking down, whether it's in game, after game, online, why things are happening and first guessing them, it's so good. Smoltz is talking about Bryce Harper sitting on a slider. You'd be surprised if he's not sitting on a slider. Next thing you know, slider's throwing the balls in the seats. It's just that's the mind of a pitcher, an elite one at that, knowing how a hitter's thinking. That is so cool to see that reversed like that.
I agree. I think they could use a third man in the booth to handle a lot of other stuff for John. But if he keeps it to that, the back and forth, the chess match on the mound and in the batter's box, then you've got the best of all worlds.
That's all I want him for is the chess match. Just talk to me about pitcher, hitter, batter, pitcher interface. Give me what's happening here, what's happening with why they're calling what they're calling, what you would do. Because you would go down that road when you watch these guys, and it's like, all right, he knows I'm sitting on off speed. So as a pitcher, do I throw fastball in? And as a hitter, do I run counter to my approach here? If he thinks that I'm thinking slider away, then should I sit in? All that stuff is fascinating. When to go away from the report. That you could watch that for hours. I'd watch a broadcast feed with a Smoltz type or a Pedro type where all you get is batter pitcher discussion, where you have a hitter, somebody like Edgar Martinez, who was a great hitter, could hit to all fields. Somebody like that, the approach, if Tony Gwynn were still alive, somebody like that, where Smoltz could talk about what he's thinking in the situation, and the hitter hitter would talk about what he's thinking in this situation, right? How great would that be?
Tony Gwynn would be perfect for that.
Well, I just that
because you need somebody who hit multiple different
all
ways.
Fields and could yes.
Yeah.
I would watch a show like that. What is he thinking here? Why? What would you do different here? Okay, so he got you out on fastball up last time. What's your approach this time? That kind of stuff. I would love that. Tallulah, by the way, CBD, mushrooms, THC, juice, floating in the pod. 3 locations in town. Good times. I've done the floating. It works. Muscles relax. You get to go to places that, man, it's good for you. Breathing, all of it. Matchup. Cue it up.
It's time for
how you say, with the pitching probables?
For the Astros, pretty important game. Christian Javier. For the Phillies, Aaron Nola. And that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. And you can cue the music, baby. Wake Up Warchant tonight, 6:30. 6 o'clock. What am I talking about? 6 o'clock, Wake Up Warchant. Make sure you tune in. Good job, Tom. Good job, Director Matthew. And thank you, Leonard Hamilton. Be well, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow.